What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome to Fresh Comic Stories. Guys, this is the channel where we basically sit down and cover different kinds of comic book stories. Now, guys, today we're gonna jump back over to Ultimate Marvel, and the reason why is because, hey, we've been covering Ultimate Marvel for the past year now, and so we're gonna jump back over to Ultimate Marvel and we're gonna pick up with Ultimate X-Men once again. Now, this storyline right here we're gonna cover is called Phoenix ? Weird, I know, but hey, whatever. But anyways, guys, this three-part storyline is very important because it's now bringing back the idea that Jean Grey could be the Phoenix. And so, guys, I do hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe. But let's dive into Ultimate X-Men Phoenix ? So we pick up where our last video left off at, which was Nick Fury had left the X-Men a new mutant on their front door, which was Elliott Boggs. Now, we only saw a few glimpses of him in our last video, but we learned right off the bat that his powers had to be based around reality warping. But we pick up with Charles Xavier and Jean Grey entering his mind to talk to him. Because in our last video, Nick Fury had him sedated for a long period of time because of his reality warping powers. Now, this is Xavier trying to learn more about Elliott's background, because right now he is a mystery, but also the big question is, can Elliott control his powers if they decide to wake him up and not be a danger to the X-Men? Which, of course, they decide to wake him up after leaving his mind and welcome him to the X-Men. Now, of course, you do have Cyclops come down to the same room Charles Xavier and Jean Grey are in, but to give Elliott a tour around the mansion. This is a way to kind of remove Elliott from the story for a brief second so Charles can ask Jean Grey if it's okay for Liliandra and her church to study Jean. Remember that Charles had a dinner date with Liliandra for funding for the school, but the reason she agreed to help out is because, well, her church, the Shi'ar, are huge believers in the Phoenix. Now, at first, Jean Grey is freaking out because ever since the Hellfire Club and a few other incidents, she had been scared that the Phoenix will take over her body completely, but also the fact that the Hellfire Club wanted to use her for evil deeds, and so she is wondering if the same thing for the Shi'ar Church. But after talking to Charles for a brief moment, she agreed to help them out with this study of the Phoenix. Now, something I really want to focus on is Elliott's interactions with Cyclops. Because while Cyclops is showing the mansion off to Elliott, you have Elliott keep asking questions like, when will he get his own X-Men outfit? Or when will he be able to go on missions? And for Cyclops, he thinks Elliott is trying to move too fast and skip all of the training, but also too eager to be out on the field. But you have Elliott tell Cyclops that the reason why he is so eager is because he has nowhere else to go, because his family is dead and the world hates him for being a mutant. And so Cyclops really lets it go only for the reason he feels bad for Elliott. Now we jump over to the school of Emma Frost. Remember, Emma Frost opened her own school to be different from Charles, where she felt like Charles' school is more turning children into soldiers. She actually wants to have a school where mutants can come and learn more about their powers. But we jump over here because the school is having a homecoming dance. And Colossus has come down because he is now dating Northstar, who attends Emma Frost's school. Also, to give you guys a reminder, you also have other characters like Havoc, Polaris, Hotspot, Cannonball, and a few others who attend Emma Frost's school. But while they're about to begin the dance, that is when you have a few members of the Brotherhood of Mutants appear, which is huge because they should be locked up in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s base. But of course, they are not, and they are here to wreak havoc. But you didn't have Colossus say he is going to make a call, which is him calling Cyclops to say he needs help down here. And so you have Cyclops tell Elliott that he just got his wish to go on a mission with the X-Men. Now the second chapter opens up with Cyclops and Elliott waiting on people to meet up at the Blackbird to leave to go help out Colossus. But the only people who showed up is Storm, Iceman, and also Rogue, because Nightcrawler is at the hospital visiting Dazzler, and Kitty Pryde is with Spider-Man once again. And so they have to work with what they got and try to get down there to help out Colossus because this is an emergency. Now, I do want to sit down and point something else out real quick. While they're on the Blackbird flying over to Colossus, you have Elliott use his powers to make his own X-Men outfit. Now, this is huge because you're now saying that Elliott knows how to use his powers in 24 hours. Literally, in our last video, it has not been 24 hours yet. And the thing is, Elliott could not learn how to control his powers. But here he is now on the Blackbird, and he knows how to use his powers just like that, and basically give himself his own X-Men outfit. Now we pick up with the X-Men team right now arriving to Emma Frost's school to help them out to fight against the Brotherhood. Now to make this fight somewhat interesting is that you have Mastermind make Emma Frost students believe that the X-Men are actually the Brotherhood. And so Emma Frost students start to fight against the X-Men. Something else to point out is once again Elliott. Because right now you have Elliott able to hold his own in a fight, which is huge because once again guys, Elliott just learned that he has powers, and right now we are watching this man being able to hold his own in a fight against Havoc, Polaris, Hotspot, whoever. Now when the X-Men are able to defeat Emma Frost's children, that's when you have the real Brotherhood arrive, and then we have a second battle. Now, this is something I do want to point out real quick. When it comes to the character Blob, well, Blob is just fat. His powers made him fat, but he also has the powers of super strength. But the thing is, he is unmovable. And so while the X-Men are fighting against the Brotherhood, you have Elliott try to fight against Blob. And then out of nowhere, Elliott was able to move Blob, which should not been possible because once again, Blob is unmovable. Sadly, we don't continue with the fight. Instead, we jump back over to Jean Grey and Charles Xavier. Of course, you had Liliandra begin to study Jean Grey a tad bit, and you have her start with a few questions. Now, this is where we learn a tad bit more of Jean Grey here, because when Liliandra asks Jean about her parents, she tells her that her parents left her behind as soon as her powers manifest. Now, lucky for Jean Grey, that's when Charles stepped in and took her in. Now guys, remember, we found out way before that Jean Grey was the second person to join the X-Men. But here's the big thing about this setting right here. What Liliandra and her assistant keep asking questions over and over again, Jean Grey's mind just snaps. And just like that, she turned into the Phoenix. Now we do jump back over to the X-Men who are fighting against the Brotherhood of Mutants. This is more of continuing the idea of Elliott being the star of the show when they are fighting against the Brotherhood. it turns into a one-on-one battle between him and the Blob. But you only have the fight continue in the final chapter for maybe another 3 to 4 pages, and is wrapped up very quickly with the X-Men winning the battle. And so before we jump back over to Jean Grey, again, I want to point something out here. You have S.H.I.E.L.D. and the media show up as soon as the fight is done, which is really strange on how fast they got there. Matter of fact, you have some of the X-Men say that as well. And so it seems like something is strange is going on, and it has to do with Elliott. Now we jump back over to Jean Grey, who is right now the Phoenix. And this Phoenix is straight up evil right off the bat. Talking about killing Liliandra and Charles Xavier, how they should be scared because they are right now talking to a god. Now, Charles does try to reason with Jean Grey before she does kill them off. Everything he says or he tries to do to reason with Jean Grey is not working. But everything changes when Charles Xavier literally says he loves Jean Grey. And that stops her for a brief second and lets him use his powers as a way to knock her out. Now this is huge because now you are playing with a very strange idea that Charles Xavier actually has feelings for Jean Grey. Now, after the fact, you have Liliandra, Charles, and Jean talk about what happened in there with her Phoenix episode. Now, you have Liliandra assistant walk in and say she is not the Phoenix, that her blood work does not match anything in their records to say she is the Phoenix. You have him continue on saying that Jean Grey's parents were once part of the Shire Church. They were constantly talking about the Phoenix around Jean. And so when her powers started to manifest with the fact she was unable to control her powers, her mind just remembers the Phoenix stuff so well that the assistant says that Jean Grey has a split personality thing going on, that the Phoenix is fake. Now, this is a part where we're going to close the video because when he walks away, he gets a phone call and tells the person on the phone that really Jean Grey is the Phoenix and he is a spy for the Hellfire Club, which means they could come back once again down the road. And guys, this is where we are going to end today's video. And so guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, this is the end of today's video. So see you on the next comic book video.